The rank comes out. Your name is at the top. The room responds the way rooms respond to that. The acknowledgement, the congratulation, the quiet recalibration of how people look at you, and somewhere in the middle of all of it, something that nobody around you knows is present. The specific weight of knowing exactly what it took to put your name there, and the specific silence of having no one to tell it to. Because you cannot say it. The topper does not get to say it. You cannot tell the room about the Saturday evening you chose the desk over everything else and hated every minute of it. You cannot mention the specific exhaustion of carrying the expectation that arrived the moment the first rank came out. The expectation that doesn't ask how you are, it just assumes you are fine because you are performing fine. You cannot say that the rank cost more than it appears to have cost, because saying that sounds like complaint, and complaint sounds like ingratitude, and ingratitude sounds like you don't deserve the thing that everyone is telling you you've earned. This video is not about studying harder. It is about the thing that comes with the rank that the rank content never covers. Bruce Wayne built something that the city saw and celebrated, what it cost in the years before the celebration. The specific price of the preparation, paid in private, without acknowledgement, in rooms no one else entered, is what this video is about. Here is what nobody says out loud about being a topper. Said plainly, there is a specific kind of loneliness that comes with consistent high performance. Not the loneliness of being isolated. You are surrounded by people. The loneliness of being surrounded by people who relate to you primarily through the output rather than through the effort, who know the rank but not the room, who celebrate the result without any access to the cost. The people around the topper stop asking certain questions. They stop asking whether you are managing because the rank is evidence you are managing. They stop asking whether the pressure is heavy because performing under pressure is what you do. The support that would have been available when you were struggling openly is no longer offered because the struggle is no longer visible. The rank made it invisible, and the specific price of that invisibility is carried alone in the room after the celebration, when the congratulations have moved on, and you are still sitting with the weight of what it cost. Wayne built the preparation in rooms no one entered, not because the solitude was preferred, because the work required it. The topper lives a version of the same architecture. The work happens in private. The output is public. The gap between those two things is where the loneliness lives, and nobody in the success content ever goes there. Because success content is about the output, and the output looks fine. The second rank is harder than the first, not because the work is harder, because the expectation has arrived. Before the first rank, there is only the work and the hope. After it, there is the work and the requirement. The requirement is unspoken, but precise. Maintain it, not improve it. Maintain it. Because any result that falls short of the established standard will be treated as a decline rather than as a normal variation in human performance. The topper is no longer being compared against the field. They are being compared against themselves. The benchmark is the previous best, and the previous best is now the floor. What this produces, in the quiet, private architecture of daily life, is a specific kind of fatigue that is not about hours worked or content covered. It is the fatigue of sustained performance under ongoing scrutiny, the fatigue of never being able to take a day off from being the person the rank says you are, of every low-energy day being a potential failure of identity rather than a normal fluctuation of being human. Stay with this. What comes next is the thing most toppers feel and almost none ever say out loud, and it is the thing that, left unaddressed, turns the years of performance into a relationship with the self that is more expensive than any rank was worth. The topper begins to confuse the rank with the self, the performance with the person, the output with the identity. And when the output fluctuates, as it will, as it must, as it does for every human being, regardless of their preparation, the fluctuation is experienced not as a variation in performance, but as a revelation about character, as evidence that the rank was never really deserved, as confirmation of something the topper always suspected, but the results had been successfully suppressing. This is not a mental health diagnosis. It is a common pattern in people who have allowed an external metric to become the primary measure of their worth, and it is what the success content never warns you about, because the success content ends at the rank and the real story begins the morning after it. The topper does not need to be told to work harder. The topper does not need a better study system or a more optimized revision schedule. What the topper needs is what the rank has been obscuring, an honest relationship with the self that exists independent of the performance, not a break from discipline. Discipline is built and serves the person who builds it, but the discipline that serves a person is different from the discipline that defines them. The first is a tool. The second is a cage. Wayne's preparation was in service of something. It was not the thing itself. The discipline was the means, not the identity. The topper who understands this, who can separate what they do from who they are, who can have a low output day without it constituting a verdict on their character, is the topper who sustains, who performs consistently across years rather than brilliantly across months, and then collapses into the gap between who the rank said they were and who they actually are. The thing about being a topper that nobody talks about is this: the rank is not the destination. The person you became to get the rank is the destination, and the person is not the rank. The person is what remains when the exam is over and the results are out and the room has moved on to whatever is next. What that person is, whether they are intact, whether they know themselves, whether they carry the discipline without being defined by it, is the only thing that matters beyond the result that everyone is celebrating. You came into this expecting either validation of the rank or advice about improving it. This video is not about the rank, it is about the person behind it. The person who has been so thoroughly identified with the output that the question of who they are without it has become genuinely difficult to answer. That person deserves the same honesty the discipline content never offers. You are not the rank. The rank is what you produced. You are the person who produced it. And that person has a character, a worth, a presence in the world that exists completely independent of whether the next result maintains the standard the previous one established. The discipline that built the rank should serve you, not the other way around. When you are serving the discipline, when the fear of losing the rank is driving the hours more than the genuine desire to understand, the discipline has become the cage, and cages, however well constructed, are not the same thing as character. Tonight, one honest question. Not about the next exam, not about the revision schedule, not about the gap between your current rank and the one you want. One question about the person. If the rank disappeared tomorrow, if the results came out and you were not at the top, who would you be? Not what would you do. Who would you be? What remains of the person when the performance metric is removed? If that question is easy to answer, the discipline is serving you. If that question produces a specific kind of dread, if it feels like being asked to describe something you are not sure exists, then the work to do is not in the revision schedule. It is in building a relationship with the self that the rank has been substituting for. Wayne built Gotham's protector through years of preparation, but Bruce Wayne, the person, not the symbol, existed independent of the cape. That independence was not weakness. It was the foundation that made the symbol sustainable. Build the same foundation. The rank is a symbol. The person underneath it is the foundation. Make sure the foundation is there. The topper earned the rank. What the rank content never covers is this: the person who earned it deserves to exist beyond it, independent of it, with a worth that does not rise and fall with the result. One honest question. Tonight, the revision can wait 20 minutes. The person cannot wait indefinitely. One question for the comments, and this one is genuinely for the toppers watching. What is one thing about your experience of being the person who performs at the top that you have never said out loud? You do not have to explain it. Just name it. This is the space where that gets to exist. If this went somewhere the rank content never goes, subscribe. More of this. The person matters more than the position.